Hi, it's Katrina. Antarctica is a very inhospitable place, but there is a lot going on there. From strange formations to entire volcanoes, here are 9 things found beneath the Antarctic ice. Some might surprise you. Number 9. Icy Atlantis? A satellite going over Antarctica captured an image of an almost perfect oval-shaped structure measuring 400 feet across. Archaeologists were stunned, as many believe that this structure looks man-made. The rings look like walls of a compound in the middle of the Antarctic, but what the heck is it doing there? It's thousands of miles from any civilization on the coldest, driest, and windiest place on Earth. There are several theories besides human intervention for how it could have been formed. The strong winds often create strange shapes in the snow, but this formation is circular, which would be practically impossible. Was it another kind of natural process? It could be formed by glacial lakes or ponds that freeze and then collapse. But the strange thing is that Antarctica is covered in ice sheets that are 3.5 miles deep, so it is very unlikely that it will be melting and forming thin ice sheets anytime soon. But with all these global changes, who knows? Conspiracy theorists believe that it is proof of an ancient city, along with a pyramid shape that was also said to have been found nearby, although I wasn't able to really find the source. People claim that it must be a trace of an entire human settlement hidden beneath the ice, and that it could even be the home of the legendary Atlantis. It was under the ice the whole time! Well, really, without the resources to go to the harsh climate, it is impossible to tell from the satellite imagery just what this formation might be. Number 8. Lost continents. Turns out there's bigger things under the ice than we thought. In 2018, a research team from Germany's Kiel University and the British Antarctic Survey released a new map showing the remnants of ancient continents under the thick ice sheet covering East Antarctica. The team relied on data from the European Space Agency's GOCE satellite and others to create the map. In the process, they discovered at least 3 cratons, which are the rocky cores of continents that no longer exist. The cratons bear evidence of the supercontinent Gondwana, which broke up around 180 million years ago. One of the cratons contains a matching fragment in Australia, and another corresponds to India. The third craton is made up of pieces of old sea floors. Scientists aren't sure when the cratons merged to form East Antarctica. It could have happened 1 billion years ago when the supercontinent Rodinia formed, or as recently as 500 million years ago with the formation of Gondwana. East Antarctica also contains orogens, which are the remnants of ancient continents ramming together to create mountains. Pretty mythical stuff. Number 7. Canyons. There's a vast range of canyons and mountain ranges underneath the ice in West Antarctica near the South Pole. Scientists discovered the formations last year using ice-penetrating radar during an aerial survey. They expected to find mountains, but were surprised by the size of the troughs they detected. Out of the 3 troughs, the scientists discovered Foundation Trough is the largest, measuring over 20 miles wide and spanning more than 215 miles, roughly the same distance as London to Manchester. Researchers fear that the canyons could play a destructive role in climate change by accelerating mass toward the ocean, according to the study's lead author, Dr. Kate Winter of Northumbria University. These troughs channelize ice from the center of the continent, taking it towards the coast, she told BBC News. Therefore, if climate conditions change in Antarctica, we might expect the ice in these troughs to flow a lot faster towards the sea. Great! And now for number 6. But first, big shout out to MassiveFoot232 and Valiant Warrior for being awesome subscribers. Thank you so much, and if you are new here, be sure to subscribe and join the Origins Explained family. We'd love to have you. Number 6. Fossilized forests. When an extreme greenhouse effect gripped the Earth 100 million years ago and melted the polar ice caps almost entirely, Antarctica became tropical. The strange ecosystem was somehow adjusted to prolonged periods of darkness and light and hosted an abundance of wildlife, including dinosaurs and rainforests filled with lush vegetation. Explorer Robert Falcon Scott first discovered evidence of a greener Antarctica in 1912 when he encountered plant fossils while on his way back from the South Pole. Since then, numerous scientists have made discoveries pointing toward a much warmer period in the world's history. In 2016, a research team from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee traveled to the Antarctic mountains, where they found geological evidence dating back to the massive yet little understood end Permian extinction. They also found fossilized Glossopteris trees from 260 million years ago, right before the extinction event. Glossopteris once dominated the Antarctic landscape and crept its way into South America, Africa, India, and Australia at a time when the supercontinent Gondwana still existed. Evidence from 53 million years ago also points toward Antarctica being covered in tropical foliage. This warm period, like others, was driven by elevated CO2 levels in the atmosphere, causing the average global temperature to rise by 5 degrees Celsius. A 2012 study of sediment samples uncovered spores, pollen, and other life forms. Many people are concerned about whether this may happen again in the future. The possibility is difficult to predict with certainty, but Antarctica's climate does indeed stand to change as the Earth warms. Number 5. Heat. A 2018 study revealed a giant hotspot 3 times the size of London underneath the Antarctic ice sheet at the South Pole. It's unlikely that the hotspot will melt away the ice sheet anytime soon, but the melting is occurring unexpectedly quickly, and the extreme heat has caused layers of the ice sheet to sag and droop across a 62 by 31 mile area. Prior to the study, many people thought ancient rocks made up this region of Antarctica and that they had little to no effect on the ice sheet above, according to lead author Dr. Tom Jordan from the British Antarctic Survey. The researchers estimated that the hotspot has existed for thousands or even millions of years. This part of Antarctica may become especially vulnerable to melting due to changes in the outside environment caused by rising global temperatures. Scientists are unsure what generates the heat, but theorize that geothermically heated water from deep underground and unusually radioactive rocks have something to do with it. Number 4. A huge cavity. There is a cavity 2/3 the size of Manhattan underneath Antarctica's Thwaites Glacier. Scientists published their findings regarding the 6-mile-long, 984-foot-tall hole earlier this year. An estimated 14 billion tons of ice have emptied from the cavity in the last 3 years. The Thwaites Glacier has long been a source of concern regarding climate change. Researchers estimate that it pours 50 billion tons of water into the ocean annually, accounting for 4% of the global sea rise, and some of Antarctica's most rapid melting rates were recorded there. Underwater cavities provide room for seawater to seep into the ice and melt it from underneath. The holes within the Thwaites Glacier allow warm seawater to easily access certain parts of the glacier, causing unusual melting patterns where the ice would normally be stabilized by bedrock. In a worst-case scenario event, the increasingly unstable Thwaites Glacier would melt to the point of unstoppable retreat, causing sea levels to rise by up to 10 feet. Number 3. Bacteria. Antarctica is home to over 400 liquid lakes that are buried beneath the ice. One of them is Lake Mercer, which is situated 370 miles south of the South Pole, under the West Antarctic ice sheet. A 2018 study of water samples from Lake Mercer revealed that the 54-square-mile water body is rife with bacteria, to the tune of 10,000 bacterial cells per milliliter. While this is just a small percentage of what's typically found in ocean water, it's a lot for a lake that's been buried underneath a glacier for thousands of years. The researchers spent 10 days camping out over the lake and drilled 3,504 feet below the surface to access it. They collected water samples and sediment cores, which they hope will teach them more about the past 10,000 years of activity beneath the West Antarctic ice sheet, including what went on before it was covered in ice. Scientists also discovered a high concentration of bacterial life in Lake Whillans in 2013. Bacteria in subglacial lakes may survive on carbon deposits that were left behind by photosynthesizing organisms between 5,000 and 10,000 years ago, a time when the lakes may have been connected to the ocean. The discovery was exciting and challenged long-held skepticism regarding the presence of life in Antarctica, but the findings also made sense, according to expedition leader John Priscu. Here, you've got 70% of the world's fresh water. It just doesn't make sense that there is no life under there, he said. And now we've proven that there is, we've transformed that view. Pascu and some other like-minded researchers believe the findings will help them learn about the possible past and present life below the frozen surface of Mars. Number 2. Volcanoes. West Antarctica contains over 100 subglacial volcanoes. Scientists are trying to learn more about them to understand how they contribute to ice melting, but the endeavor has proven to be difficult. In 2014, British and American scientists discovered one of these volcanoes while conducting a survey of how warming waters impact the ice shelf. They took water samples, which revealed an active volcanic heat source beneath the region's fastest melting glacier, the Pine Island Glacier. The volcano's heat may be contributing to the decline of ice, despite no eruptions occurring in Antarctica in at least 2,000 years. But it's hard to measure how the volcano will affect the ice in the future, given the episodic nature of volcanic activity, according to marine geophysicist Dr. Rob Larder from the British Antarctic Survey. Professor Karen Haywood of the University of East Anglia and the expedition's chief scientist believes the effects could be detrimental. She says that the discovery of volcanoes beneath the Antarctic ice sheet means that there is an additional source of heat to melt the ice, lubricate its passage towards the sea, and add to the melting from warm ocean waters. On the other hand, glaciologist Dr. Robert Bingham of the University of Edinburgh believes that subglacial volcanoes probably don't contribute majorly to glacial melting. So what are we supposed to believe? He's discovered dozens of them, and while he doesn't see them as sources of instability, he admits that their activity may increase as climate change-induced ice melting continues. Number 1. People. This one is pretty dark. Antarctica is inherently dangerous, and the risks associated with going there can't always be avoided, even with modern technology and superior survival skills. Inland temperatures can drop to minus 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and winds can reach 200 miles per hour in certain places. The continent is a de facto graveyard scattered with the remains of as many as several hundred lost explorers and scientists. Many are buried too deep in crevices and ice sheets to ever be recovered. They'll either never emerge or will eventually be carried out to sea by calving ice and drifting glaciers. Lost souls are sometimes found decades or even a century after they went missing. Not all of the lost individuals in Antarctica succumb to the harsh climate. Some perished in freak accidents, and others remain unsolved mysteries to this day. And sometimes the mystery continues even after someone is found. These numerous tragedies have led to the improvement of safety standards in Antarctica, enabling the roughly 1,000 people there to live and work more safely. Thanks for watching! Hope you learned something new about Antarctica today. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye!